Alright, it's time for another simple but not basic video. To be honest with you, I absolutely love these types of videos because they're not arbitrary. Not to say that there's no value in putting together videos that don't have quite as distinctive and specific as a structuring as a video like this, but using a specific structure makes these videos a lot easier to put together and a lot easier to communicate because they have true meaning behind them. We're talking about numbers, and as the cliche goes, numbers don't lie. So this video is what it seems. We're talking about my top 10 most worn niche fragrances of all time. Now this video was highly requested. We did a designer version of this. If you missed it, you can check it out here. And I had a lot of you guys asking in the comments, are you going to do a niche version? Please do a niche version. I was already planning on it, guys, so I got you. I have some house cleaning to get out of the way. I'm going to try to get through it as quickly as I can. This unfolded as I was formulating the video in a way I was not anticipating. I did not expect to get this deep, so bear with me. Practice having a good attention span. Right now, let's just do it together. I know you can do it.
The next several minutes are for the real ones. If you consider yourself a real member of the Fresh Squad, then you'll stick around and this is how you'll make me feel. But if you're not here for me and you're just here for the fragrances, well, there'll be a timestamp on the screen right now where you can just skip to the fun. So go ahead and skip. Go ahead, skip. I know you're gonna do it. You know that thing your parents would say to you growing up when they're not mad but they're disappointed? Yeah.
So as some of you guys already know, at this point in my journey, I choose to evaluate niche versus mainstream on a fragrance by fragrance basis. This means that not every fragrance produced by a niche brand is a niche fragrance. So this is the first of the omissions that I will be making in this video. I'm not going to be talking about fragrances that, in my opinion, occupy this space. Although there may be others from these very same brands that I do consider niche. Now, the first thing I want to do really quickly is define what I mean by niche. And we're going to put words on the screen so I can actually read it from my phone and you don't have to watch me looking down. So yeah, editing. Simply put, to me, a niche fragrance is the scent was created with an artistic intention.
Put the words up, man, making me look bad.
The scent was created with an artistic intention. That is, it's trying to convey a sentiment that is external to the fragrance itself, whether that be a story, a picture, a person, a feeling, etc. Also, the scent is not modeled after a trending profile. It should aim to present something new. Not to say that this will always be the result, but at least that is the intention. And finally, it uses higher quality and more interesting ingredients to create accords that are intended to be unique. Again, intention is the key here. This doesn't have to translate to something weird or unwearable, although it can at times. And you can simply skip those fragrances if they're not for you. I'm not trying to force you guys to wear stuff that you find nasty. But the fragrance should translate to something that makes you think, maybe even challenges you, and keeps you coming back, because while it may even be pleasant to you, it may not be fully understandable to you at first sniff. Being made to scratch your head is okay. Sometimes it's good to think. I know we don't always come to YouTube to think, but as you guys know, as we do on this channel, I like to make you guys think. Wiggle the noodles. Now, the first one of these videos that I've done this year was a most worn summer fragrances video, and a lot of those fragrances would be in this list, so I'm going to omit those fragrances as well. That's the second omission. Why? Just because I don't want redundancy. It would make this video useless because you can just go watch the other one. The final omission I'll be making in this video is I'm not going to be talking about Creed. And the reason why is simple. When I originally compiled this list with the previous 2 omissions, 5 of the 10 fragrances were from Creed.
That is a boring list.
Now, all that being said, if I did absolutely no omissions in this video, I'm just going to spoil what the top 3 spots would be. Number 3 would be Elysium from Roja Parfum with 45 wearings, and it's been 1 year since I've worn it. The second spot would be Parfum de Marly Layton with 52 wearings, and it's been 11 months since I've worn it. And the top spot would be Creed Aventus with 66 wearings, and it's been about 5 months since I last wore it, and before that it'd probably been several years. Now, some of you may be wondering, Justin, how do you know these numbers? How are you keeping track? Well, I use Parfumo.net, who is not sponsoring this video. I just love their database. I love their website. I love the way that it allows you to track your wearing and your collection. And I've been using it for the past 7 years. So I'm just sharing it with you guys. If you want to track your own fragrance wearing, there's going to be a link down below to Parfumo. Again, I'm not getting paid a dime for this.
Although I would happily accept one.
or a few. So as a result of all these omissions, the wear counts are going to be low, lower than you might expect. And finally, unlike the last video that I did like this, I'm avoiding ties because it just can get really ridiculous. I'm taking the fragrance out of a particular tie that I wore the most recently. Simple as that. Okay, so with all that out the way, my preamble's done. Let's dive right into it. At the 10th spot with 9 wearings, the last time I wore this was 4 months ago. From the house of Amouage, this is Enclave. I'm gonna try to keep my descriptions very, very light and simple and brief. This is kind of an ambery, leathery, ashy mint. There is a freshness, there is a warmth. All together, very, very minty, a little bit fresh, spicy, and resinous, warm, sweet, but in a balsamic, sticky kind of resinous way, not like vanilla. Primarily a mint scent, but a lot more going on here. Not everyone's cup of tea, but I think it's beautifully unique and very wearable if you love it pretty much all year round, but maybe not the highest heat in the summer. That is Amouage Enclave. At the 9th spot with 10 wearings, the last wearing being 4 months ago, this was Oud Galore from Chris Collins, one of my favorite westernized, more accessible oud rose fragrances, beautiful quality. It does have the sweet opulence of rose with the medicinal dry woody oud, but a beautiful buttery orris filling it out, making it kind of creamy, round, and honestly more robust. Beautiful scent trail, very, very good longevity if you're looking for that. Smells expensive because it is expensive. Oud Galore from Chris Collins. At the 8th spot, with 11 wearings, the most recent being 1 month ago, was Roja Parfum Vetiver Parfum Cologne. Easily one of my favorite Vetiver profiles in my collection. Yes, it is very similar to Guerlain's Vetiver, the classic scent. However, this is just a simply more robust version of that. This is that DNA, but it's just beefier, more long lasting, more of a presence. It is a smoky, clean, citrusy, bitter, woody vetiver that is fresh, but super classy. Good stuff. At the 7th spot, from the house of Daniel Josier, another vetiver fragrance. Nothing like the Roja or the Guerlain. This is Vetiver. I've worn this 12 times. The most recent was a year ago. So it has been a little while, but I have been smelling it more and more from time to time. I want you guys to know that even though some of these fragrances I haven't worn immediately, I'm still experiencing them. I'm still spraying them on paper on my skin, which I don't count as wearings. So they're not just sitting and I brush the dust off and then put it in a video. I'm always sniffing these things, even if I'm not wearing them out into the world functionally. And this is kind of like the Terre d'Hermes family of vetiver. It is a bitter, earthy, woody vetiver, a little bit kind of like a dirty, citrusy quality, but in the most classy way, a little bit of spice, some freshness, very, very elegant smelling, very sophisticated. And if you don't like Terre d'Hermes, this is maybe a rounder, more natural smelling version of it, but not necessarily better, just different. I love Terre d'Hermes as well, but we're talking about niche. That is Daniel Josier Vetiver. At the 6th spot with 13 wearings, last time I wore this was 3 months ago. This is a fragrance that I've kind of been quasi known for over the past several years. I feel like I was talking about it, one of the few talking about it before it really got a lot of hype over the past year or two. That's Ganymede from Marc-Antoine Barrois. One of the most unique fresh fragrances you can get. Violet leaf, metallic notes, immortelle. Ultimately, I've talked about this several times. If you can imagine stepping into a brand new Bentley or some kind of brand new luxury car with a leather interior, you smell the wood grain, you smell the metal, you smell the leather in the seats. There's a freshness to it, there's a coziness, but overall a cooling kind of metallic quality. That's what I get out of Ganymede. Amazing, very versatile if you love it. At the 5th spot, it's been 5 months since I've worn this. I last wore it in the early spring, and I've worn this 14 times. From Argos fragrances, this is Triumph of Bacchus. Easily one of their best sellers, easily their most popular scent. And if you're wondering like, dude, there's like almost nothing missing from this bottle, it's because they've sent me both sizes. So I've actually gotten a lot of my most recent wearing out of the small 30 milliliter bottle. So if you're not sure if you want to commit to 100, the 30 is a great option. Either way, beautifully opulent scent, boozy, sweet, leathery, fruity, juicy, tobacco, and rum. It is so opulent. It's so elegant. Let me get a sniff. It's addictive. That is Triumph of Bacchus from Argos Fragrances. Use the code FRESH10 for a discount on anything. Get you a discovery set. Check out the line. They got some good stuff. Great quality. At the 4th spot, I wore this a month ago and I've worn it 15 times total. This is Beach Hut Man from Amouage. This is not Beach Hut Man. This is Bracken. Let me go grab Beach Hut. I'm going to try to do some movie magic here. How'd I do? Try! Anyway, this is Beach Hut Man. Green minty, woody, a little bit resinous and sweet, but the sweetness is just tucked in there. Very, very green, very, very minty, almost coniferous in a way. I call this Jungle Hut Man. This is more like a jungle than a beach. If you haven't yet sampled it, sample it first. This is not going to be for everyone, but it is an incredible, authoritative, fresh green scent that is almost a little too strong, but it's amazing. Beach Hut Man. At the third spot, it would be weird if this wasn't here because this is a fragrance that would not exist if it were not for me and my creative ideas in collaboration with Zaharoff and their amazing brand, and the perfumer Vincent Kuczynski, who I had a chance to work with and collaborate with. And of course, without you guys for allowing me to have a platform in the first place to give value and to be able to have an opportunity like this. Second Soul, my second fragrance collaboration with Zaharoff. If you don't know anything about this,
welcome. You must be new here.
I'm not going to get into it right now because there's a lot I could say. I'm going to link a video up here where you can learn more about Second Soul. Most important things to know about it is that it is a limited time fragrance. So the stock is dwindling. Once it's gone, it'll be gone forever. So if you want a chance to get a high quality limited edition fragrance, this is it here. And those of you who've tried it, who have it, go ahead and sound off in the comments. I see a lot of you guys always telling me how much you love this stuff. So if you want an endorsement that's not from me, those of you who have it, go ahead and leave a comment and let people know what you think about Second Soul. It is kind of like an old school fougere. There's a barbershop cleanliness to it, but it has this rich, warm, suede, boozy, smoky, leathery, resinous, sweet base. So it's kind of two worlds together, bright and dark. There's a lot of duality going on here. Again, watch the video to learn more about it. That is Second Soul. I've worn it 21 times thus far, and the last time I wore it was just 16 days ago, just a couple weeks and change. So I'm still getting a lot of wearing out of this. At the second spot with 30 wearings, this is a bottle I've had for quite some time. The last time I wore it was 4 months ago. The time before that was probably a couple years. I don't wear it that often because unfortunately Grace doesn't love it. She doesn't love this type of profile. It comes off a little bit too powdery and thick for her. She's coming around to it, so I'm going to keep trying it over the years. But this is Reflection Man, one of my first niche fragrance loves. This is like a clean soapy lavender made creamy, white smelling, woody, soft, buttery. It's a men's white floral fragrance with a nice woody masculine base. It does have a muskiness to it that is beautiful and kind of sexy, but super sophisticated. You've probably already tried it, but if you haven't, get a sample. There's going to be links down below. That is Reflection Man. And the number one fragrance, my most worn. With all the omissions considered, I've worn this 52 times, and the last time I wore it was about 4 months ago. I'm due for another wearing because it actually does work really well in the summer, and unfortunately, you cannot get this fragrance anymore. It was limited edition. It is now since sold out and gone from Earth. Brass and Soul, my first fragrance collaboration with Zaharoff. You can see I've worn a lot of this bottle. Again, 52 wearings. I've been wearing the heck out of this. It's hard for me to stay away from it. It has an interesting seal to it. What I mean by that is when I wear it, I then wear it for like 3 or 4 or 5 days after that. I just get on a bender and I can't get away from it. I find it highly addictive. I find it beautifully complex, but amazingly versatile. And therefore it takes the top spot in this video with this context as my most worn niche fragrance. And again, those of you who have it, who've tried it, you can sound off in the comments. I've gotten so much feedback from you and I'm so grateful that so many of you have enjoyed it over the years. Again, I do apologize that you can't get it anymore because yeah, it was limited. So sorry for the tease. If you can find a decant out there somewhere online, I recommend it. But just being honest with you guys, that's my number one with all the omissions considered. Again, I know it's weird, but here's what we're doing to make it interesting. Brass and Soul by me and Zaharoff. All right, that's it. My most worn niche fragrances. Hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to see the alternate version, I'm trying to devise a way to present that in a bit more of an exclusive way, so I'm thinking about that, but I want to gauge interest. If you want to see the full video without all the omissions, let me know. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.